I am so excited to have Assembly Member Heather Hadwick with me today on the City Builders podcast, and we are going to talk about all kinds of stuff, what it's like to work in Sacramento coming from a rural place like Modoc County, the urban-rural divide, wolves, grizzlies, housing, workforce, a lot of different things. It's going to be a really exciting conversation, and I'm so grateful that you're here with me today, so thank you.
Thank you. You make that sound really exciting.
It is exciting. I love it.
Welcome to the City Builders Podcast, brought to you by the Reading Chamber of Commerce. I'm Todd Jones, President and CEO. In each episode, we bring you insights from local business leaders, tackle important issues, and explore what's shaping the future of Reading. Whether you're a business owner or just interested in our community's growth, this podcast has something for you. Thanks for joining us. The City Builders Podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the Chamber, and we could not do business without them.
Can I call you Heather on the podcast too?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, I prefer.
Assembly Member Hadwick. Thank you for being here today on the City Builders Podcast. I am super excited to have you here. This is I love government, and I've gotten to know you over the last year or so, over a year that you've been in office, and it's been really a pleasure. I'm super grateful there in the position you're at because I think you represent our community really well, and I'm just grateful that you're here today. So tell us, what made you decide to run for Assembly, to be in the super minority in the California legislature?
Yeah. Oh, thank you for having me. Politics was never my plan. I kind of fell into it. I was a teacher and then went into OES and was an emergency manager and just super embedded in my community. I was coached everything for my kids. I was 4-H leader, Cub master. My oldest son is really into shooting sports. So between like working on fires in other counties and shooting sports world, I ran in a lot of different circles. I had gotten to know the Dallies because they were on the emergency management committee. And so they would call with questions because emergency management is pretty complex. Mm-hmm. And so I really got to go know them and know their staff. And they had asked me if I would be interested in running. And my initial thought was like, no, I'm just a regular person, like from Modoc. Like I'm a small town girl. And then they rattled off all these things that I had done. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I honestly never thought I could do it. Like it wasn't something that was in the cards I'd been dealt. Right. So we prayed about it, had a big family meeting because it's a big family change. Absolutely. For our life. And my kids wanted me to go for it. My husband wanted me to go for it. And I'm so glad I did. I'm very thankful I did because I'm oddly good at it. Yeah. And I really love where I live and want to make sure it stays great and that we can protect our values of the North State because we're so different and so unique. And the people in Sacramento just don't understand it.
Yeah. And you represent the most beautiful district in the state.
Absolutely.
I think so.
I win that hands down every time. And everybody agrees, which is nice. I don't think that...
Once they get out there, they get to see it. It's awesome.
I mean, from Tahoe to Mount Shasta to Shasta Lake, I mean, all
Cedarville.
These quaint little towns. And it's definitely the prettiest district. Also the largest district in the state.
So it is. Officially, it's the largest.
Yes. Yeah, it's over 27,000 acres, or square mile, sorry.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, it's bigger than bigger than like 6 states.
Has there ever been an elected official in the state legislature or statewide office from Modoc County?
There hasn't since they had state senators. So since they changed the California Constitution.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, so pretty exciting. And there's it's kind of a man's world. So I'm only the 193rd woman ever sworn into California legislature.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, and there's been over 5,000 people. So it's very cool. We are at parity right now, which is pretty cool. We're half and half.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what has it been like for you to transition from living and working in Alturas and Modoc County to now I wouldn't say living full time, but obviously spending a lot of time in Sacramento, working in Sacramento. What has that transition been like for you to go to Sacramento? That's a
culture shock. Yeah. Major culture. I have to deal with traffic now, and we don't have that. So definitely a culture shock. A huge shift for my family. When we're in session, I have to be in Sacramento Monday through Thursday. So I travel down on Sunday. Usually have meetings along the way because I drive through the whole district to get to work. And then we have a session again on Thursday, and then I have meetings or podcasts or tours, usually Thursday and Friday, and then I get to go home Friday night or Saturday. And I try to be home at least 2 weekends a month. It doesn't always happen because of events. And
Sure.
So, but my family's been really flexible. So like this weekend, I have a firefighter ball in Nevada County, so my husband's going to come down and go
nice.
to. So they're good about going. They like to go to the fun stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a lot of windshield time. I get to drive through the prettiest district in the state twice a week, and so I think the hardest part is being there all the time, because I'm very relational and I want to show up, and I love meeting people and talking to people and hearing their concerns or what they're excited about, or so that part is hard because I can't be in 11 counties all the time. And still have like a life, but I've just come to terms with the fact that this is my life, and it doesn't feel like work yet, so that's good.
That's good.
Yeah,
Hopefully it stays that way.
It's still fun, and I
at least 11 more years or 10 more years.
Yes, hopefully. So it's been really good though. I really enjoy it, and it's a lot. Especially the Sacramento side. It was a little more separate than I thought. Between the Senate and the Assembly are very separate, but the political the party divide is pretty bad, and it gets worse depending on what we're doing at the local levels or the federal level. But I would say the biggest divide is urban versus rural.
Sure.
That I feel like my whole job right now is to teach them why we live here, why these decisions affect us more. That ripple effect hits us harder almost every time. So I think that's kind of become my main job, because we're having conversations that they've never dealt with our problems before. They don't know we have wolves in Northern California, or
bring back a grizzly bear.
Yes, or bring back a grizzly bear. So these are conversations that my colleagues aren't having in their districts. And our bills are usually very rural focused, and very district focused, which is what I want to have our legislative package be every time. But it's definitely a learning curve. It's also kind of humorous at times to see their faces when they see things for the first time, but it's pretty cool to see your district through like new eyes,
Sure. What is it like in the building? Because California politics and government is like it's like at a national stage. You come down into Sacramento, there's full-time lobbyists, there's full-time people that have been in the building for decades and decades and decades. And so you're walking into this like political machine, somewhat like Washington, D.C., whereas other states like Nevada, they have a part-time legislature, really. It's like really, really part-time. So what has it been like for you to like be in the building and, kind of navigate this whole political machine?
It's constant. It's kind of crazy. It's the lobbying days have just really started. So I have meetings from like yesterday. I started at 7 a.m. with the Cattleman's Breakfast, and I went into meetings every half an hour or 15 minutes all day until 4 or 5 with different groups. You never know what you're going to talk about. I go from Special Olympics to hospital districts to plumbers to electricians. You never know.
Yeah.
And then you have receptions for all of those every night, and I made myself a rule that if district people were going to come down for whatever group they're in, I wanted to make sure I could see them. I think that it's a little thing I can do to show up for them. They're making the effort to come all the way down there. So I really try to be there myself, which means I have a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
But I think that's important, and it is really cool because you're always learning. I never know what conversation I'll have, but I'm always learning something new too. And I like that part of it. But it is constant. It's kind of intense.
All the time.
Yes, and you can't like walk to the elevator without somebody stopping you.
Right.
And that's definitely like in a small town, you're kind of used to that too. But it's definitely at this caliber is definitely different.
Yeah. So have you been able to bridge that rural-urban divide, or have you been able to in the last, year and a half, I guess I can say now, year and a half being in the state legislature and being in the assembly? How have you bridged that? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but there was a pretty big freshman class that came in with you.
Yes,
And
26 of us.
There's a lot of new faces and people that don't probably understand the rest of the state of California.
They do not. So there's 80 of us in the assembly. There's 20 Republicans, 60 Democrats. There's 26 new freshmen. There's six Republicans in that. About 40 of the 80 are from LA, San Diego. 20 of the 80 are like Bay Area. And then you have random little pieces. I would say like true rural, it's really just me. Redding's my biggest city, and then it goes to Grass Valley. So big difference,
Right.
All the counties or the districts that do represent rural, they have like a big city like Fresno. So like truly rural, I would say, is probably just me. But we bring people to the district, and then we also bring the district to the capital. So we do a forestry tour every year, which has become really famous. Last year was the 30th year. Wow. The Dallies have done it too. Whoever's in my seat gets to host it.
Is it the CARES tour? Is that what they called it? What did it used to be? CARE?
Cal Forest. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So it's usually in Siskiyou. This year we're going to Plumas and Chester and talking more about like reforestation and wildfire recovery. But it really does blow their mind. Like we fly them up and they get off the plane and immediately are like, it's so easy to breathe here because they have smog, and then it's beautiful and they've never seen a mountain. Most of them, none of them last year had been north of Sacramento.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
That's
to
crazy.
Me. Like
they don't even know it exists in Sacramento.
No. And they they can't fathom that I drive to work, 5.5
6 hours.
Yeah. So they just can't understand how big it is. And they saw a bald eagle, and one guy almost cried.
Wow.
They saw a deer, and they'd never seen deer. One guy called him a reindeer.
Oh my God.
But we corrected him.
Oh my gosh.
And they had never seen a natural river.
Wow.
So like little things, because they have canals.
Yeah, sure.
So it's not like that. But even being at the Capitol, they've never been down to the Sacramento River.
Yeah.
And then we're like 5 blocks from that.
Right.
Like it's not far. But it really does like blow their mind. And then they get a sense of what I'm fighting for, which I think is important. It opens them up. We break down forestry to like 5th grade. We bore a tree. We talk about, the rings and how, treated forest versus a non-treated forest. And it's a lot of educational. We go on a lot of tours as a legislature.
Right.
I love them because you get to learn. But that one is by far one of the favorites. And we have people that like ask all year to be able to go.
Right.
We do it in May, and I'm looking forward to it. Again, it'll be good. But we do target city members or members that are, especially after the LA fires, we targeted LA members that have had to deal with fire now.
Right.
And then we also take the district to the Capitol. So I raise Highland cows. My family has a pumpkin patch. So I'm kind of known for my Highland cows down there, which you kind of have to make people remember you. So that's an easy thing to keep my name in people's, circles. But we bring them down for Ag Day, and we march them up the Capitol steps and put them in a pen, and they get to come cuddle them and take pictures, and they absolutely love it. They've never seen a cow, which is crazy to me.
Yeah.
Like
they don't all look like Highland cows. For all the city people out there, they don't all look like Highland cows.
They're not all as cute.
Yeah.
And they're not all as docile either, because they're very, very tame and fun and easy.
Yeah.
But the whole time we're there, we're taking cute pictures, but then I'm like, hey, like, she's pregnant and about to calve, and I really hope she has this baby here because we have wolves. Have you heard about our wolf problem?
Yeah.
So it's just that. But that connection, they asked me about her baby. Her baby was born like a week later, and they named her Callie, like California. And we're bringing her back this year so they can see what a 1-year-old cow, looks like. And but they talk about it all year. Some of them go out and buy boots and make a whole big thing of it. But it makes it real and makes them connect, and that's what I need. I need them to care about my district.
Right.
They don't have to.
Do you think that whether it's, natural resource management, wildlife management with wolves or grizzlies, potentially, which is just crazy to me.
So crazy.
Forest management, obviously a lot of that is on the federal level with NEPA and things. But do you feel like they really are understanding and being able to stand up for what they learn when they're out there in the woods? Because when they come back to the Capitol, there's so much pressure to toe the party line, and you have a lot of environmental groups with a lot of power in Sacramento, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I think because it makes it difficult for us to manage our natural resources better. Do you see like a really different side in people when they're in the district going on these tours versus when they get to the Capitol, and when it comes down to vote on something, do you see like a real difference, or do you feel like you're actually getting to people and helping change their mind?
I feel like we're definitely getting to people.
Yeah.
I've only seen positive from it. And they also come and ask me questions later, which I really appreciate. I always say they don't know what they don't know. And I can't really judge them or hold that against them. If they've never been in a forest. They've never, this is not what they've been told by those environmental groups. So for them to see it, it changes their mind. And we had the chair of natural resources there last tour, and he came back and ran 3 really good forestry bills.
That's great.
And because of what he learned on that tour. And now they still come to me and ask me, or they want my opinion. And it also helps us build those relationships, right? I didn't really know him before this tour.
Right.
And we got to know each other. And so now I can take something to him, and he knows hey, we're not clear cutting all the forests, because that's what they're
That's
told,
what they think. Yeah.
So,
and sometimes it's good to clear cut if there's disease or something else.
Yeah. We don't typically get to go there because we've burnt them all down.
Right.
But that's what the narrative has been for them. So I think it also makes them realize that maybe not everybody's telling their truth,
right,
but not the truth.
Yeah. Do you see? Because I'm assuming when you were just in MODOC, you probably thought like a lot of us, Sacramento's just a lost cause. Do you actually see any movement and any glimmer of hope? And we'll talk more about the future down in a few minutes, but are you seeing any shift at all right now when it comes to the regulatory environment or the tax environment, or specifically, natural resource management and what you can control at the state level? Are you seeing it shift to, the middle, I would say, at all?
I am. I'm it's still frustrating. There's still days that I'm you feel like you're banging your head against the wall. But I think it really is, this new class has a lot of moderate Dems in it. And so they're there for the people instead of the party or the district. So that they're a little more lenient about their votes, and they're fighting for things that we like. And I appreciate that. And they're not voting for things as a block. So I always tell people, if you see people not voting like a party, tell them thank you.
Yeah.
Because that's hard. Yeah. And you hear about it, not as much on our side because we're freedom, whatever, vote your district. But it's hard. It's hard for them. So I think there is some hope. I think that we're pretty broken. And I think the pendulum's kind of swinging hey, we all want to be able to have a thriving life, right? We want to buy a house. We want our kids to go to a good school. We want the next generation to do better than us. We want to be able to afford to fill our gas tank, our insurance, whatever that is. And we're at this breaking point that I think both sides can agree on.
Right.
So you're going to see a lot of things with housing this year. A lot of stuff with housing. I think there's a 20 bill package. I'm on a select committee for housing innovation and construction, and they're bucking the system, which I love.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fire. There's a lot of bad ideas in fire too, because everybody wants to be the hero. But the narrative has changed with fire since the LA fires, and I do appreciate that, because fire. I hate that had to happen for them, but it made it real. And we've been living this for a decade. They haven't. So now they have a different outlook on it. They're they're including our recovery in a lot of their recovery. And I give a lot of speeches on equity and what NorCal recovery looks like versus LA. And LA thinks it's going horribly slowly. And I'm let's go visit Greenville, or Grizzly Flats.
Right.
And LA now has more houses built than Greenville does.
It's crazy.
That's not fair.
No.
And so, and they agree. that it's not fair. So, and they want to change it too. So, so I think we are. I think it would be great if we had new leadership, and we'll see how that goes. You know, if we can get
Specifically at the governor level.
yes, at the governor level.
At the governor level.
Yeah.
Because
So
we talk about affordability, and I hear a lot of Democrats right now talking about affordability and ways to make California more affordable. But then I see them still keeping things like not repealing a gas tax, and diesel's over $6 a gallon, and that ripples down to everything else.
Yeah.
So does the governor have a lot of control over the legislature?
Yes.
I mean, technically, right, he doesn't. There's a separation, but in
does.
practice, in reality, he has a lot of power.
Yeah, he has a lot of power because he can sign or veto your bill,
Right.
you know, and you work so hard to get it there, and then with the stroke of a pen, he can make it not happen, you know. So he definitely does, and that majority party does. So you know, we need some more balance.
Right.
We've been out of balance for a really long time, and we don't have a revenue problem. California is thriving with income. I mean, I think we've over doubled since Newsom took office, or Governor Newsom. You know, we have a spending problem, and we're spending money on things that we don't even know what works.
Right.
You know, we're calling for audits a lot on both sides, but we have started so many programs, and especially with COVID, you know, trying to make up for the COVID deficit that every sector had. You know, all this money is going out, but we don't really know, like, hey, what works?
Right.
And I hate that the state is so, you know, they have this categorical, like, and they put it out with grants where our small counties struggle, our small cities struggle,
Right.
To even have somebody to apply. But then you get it, and it's so tailored to what the whole state should be able to, you know, what they think the whole state can do, and we can't, you know? So I think a lot of those programs would be great if they would just give it to that jurisdiction, give
Right.
it to the city, give it to the county,
Right.
let them do what they think will work in their area, because they know their area, and, you know, for homelessness, for childcare,
Right.
for whatever that looks like for them. But
Do you think there's a lot of like fraud, waste, and abuse at the state level, like like a Minnesota
Yes.
type of situation?
Yes.
Do you feel like there's anybody at the Capitol right now or in Sacramento that's actually trying to uncover and actually getting any traction doing this?
there's a lot of them. There are a lot of people looking into it, and I think that there's going to be more and more coming up. I was actually like personally shocked to see how much money we give to like companies and
Right.
nonprofits and pet projects. You know, I was begging for $2 million for wolves and loss depredation for our ranchers last year, and then when the final budget came out, I got it, which was great.
That's great.
And then I found out they gave $2 million to one of the universities to research alternative meat products. And I'm like,
Yeah.
what? Why?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When I was at the EDC GoBiz, which I worked very well with that department typically, but they do the Cal Competes program and give these tax credits out to companies. And it's always like Apple and Raytheon and JPL and all these big companies, which I'm not saying they necessarily don't, you know, have great things that they're using it on, but, you know, it rarely came to the district. It went to these big giant companies that are already, you know, multiple billions of dollars in worth. And it feels very unequitable at Sacramento.
It does. Yeah. So one thing we can do as legislators is do a budget ask. And so I ask for a lot because I feel like I have 11 counties. I should get more asks.
Might as well. Ask for noon, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, but we work it too. And we go talk to everybody and tell them how bad we need it. And, what they consider as like budget dust, which millions of dollars are considered budget dust in our giant budget. I'm like, that would be life-changing for one of my counties or one of my cities, you know, and it's at such it's just such a huge scale that it's crazy. And I'm on education budget. So it's, you know, when we have to cut things or trim things, you get the stories and you get those you know, we don't like to cut programs for schools. We don't want to say, you know, our kids don't deserve this or our universities don't deserve this. But it's also on the other side of that, I get to brag about us because we're doing a great job in the North State.
Right.
And I have the most community colleges in the state, but I also have the most college deserts in the state. I don't have a UC or a CSU, but we have Simpson, which is great. But we collaborate at a level that nobody else does, and I've said that a lot in my committees. Like, you guys aren't doing this. We already do this. We don't need a bill for this.
Yeah.
You know, but
I think we forget that sometimes up here.
Yeah,
I think we forget some of the special things we have going on.
Right. Yeah, and we're small enough to like know the players. So you can make change happen faster. We just need a little more funding to make
Right.
things a little bit better, but
Funding makes things a lot easier.
it does. Yeah, it does. And I tease them all the time. If they just let the North State have the budget for like 2 years, we'd have it.
Figure it,
Yeah,
figure it
we'd
out.
figure it all out.
I mean, some
We'd
of the
all
stuff
be
that Shasta
right.
College does specifically,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
absolutely blown away.
Yeah.
I mean, the programs they have for logging and forest management, and even down to like their welding program and diesel, heavy diesel mechanics, like all these things are phenomenal. And if you could just apply those, I mean, it has to fit your area. I think
does.
Shasta College does a really good job of filling needs for the North State specifically and figuring out programs that make sense. And the way that they're crafty with grants and all these different levels of funding has been
And they're
really
very
credible.
flexible.
And if they had a little bit more, man,
Yeah.
they could do a lot.
Yeah, no, they're fabulous. Not just because I'm alumni, but
Yeah, they're great. I mean, I think they're one of the most impressive organizations we have in the
It
North
really
State.
is,
Just the
yeah.
amount of work they can do.
Yeah, we did a budget request for them for their forest health program, and SPI donated 70,000 acres
Yeah.
there, so they're going to have their own forest to manage. They can
They'd be incredible.
get people in there and certified for things. I mean, I think most people in Reading realize that this is the hub for the North State, but truly, you guys are where everybody comes, whether
Right.
it's coming for a training or a
Yeah.
meeting or
I mean, I grew up in Trinity. You were on the other side of 289, so Reading is the natural spot.
Yeah, it's the hub, and whether that's for healthcare and your dentist, your doctor, your community college, your Costco. Like you guys are my closest Costco.
Right. 3 hours away.
Yeah, so it I think building that hub in Shasta makes sense for the North State.
Yeah.
So I think most of my budget asks actually are for Shasta this year.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully it helps everybody in the district.
It
That's
does.
the
It
idea.
does. And
Yeah.
that's why it's an easy sell. Like, hey, this is going to help all 11 of my counties, not just one,
Yeah.
We did one for the medical school to try to get a study and a feasibility plan and all that. And we also did one for an alternative custody campus.
That'd be great.
We've been working with the sheriff.
Sheriff Johnson's my next podcast. So
Oh,
we're going
is
to talk
it?
about
Oh,
the
nice.
Community Rehabilitation Center.
Yes.
I think that's the official title for
Yes. So that one we started last year, and he came down and we had some meetings, and we're hopeful. We also did one for the Anderson Police Department for a new building for them.
Yeah, they need it. They
Yes,
need to,
they do.
unfortunately.
They do. Yeah, and there's probably more in there that I'm not remembering, but like I said,
That'd be some huge wins. If
It
we got-
would,
If we
yeah.
even
Yeah.
got half of that,
right?
that would
Yeah.
be a huge win for
Yeah.
the North State. So
Yeah.
that's great.
And the ripple effect of that, it helps everything.
Right.
If they're gonna build buildings, they're gonna buy things here. It's
Mm-hmm.
gonna create jobs. So that is always in the back of my mind with all our projects or our asks.
Yeah. Let's go back to housing for a little bit because you're on the select committee for housing. What is it called?
Housing construction and innovation.
Housing construction and
Yeah.
innovation. So I want to maybe pick on one of my members really quick. Not
Okay.
pick on, but showcase, highlight U.S. offsites. So housing is so expensive, in my opinion, in California because of the different layers of regulation. It doesn't help that minimum wage is high and the cost of labor is high and the cost of materials is high. But it's death by a thousand cuts. That's what I hear from most developers. It's death by a thousand cuts because of all the regulations on top of building, whether it's solar, fire sprinklers, you name it, Title 24, Energy Code, all these things make it super, super expensive. So what have you learned and what do you think it's going to take to actually make housing more abundant and affordable in California? I mean, I know that's a very tough topic. But
No, it is. Yeah. I have befriended Alex and learned so much from him. Housing was not really one of my big interests. I was going down there to fight for rural living and, education, ag, all these other things. But housing affects all of those.
Yeah.
And I quickly learned that. So I have been kind of dove in head first, but Buffy Wicks asked me to be part of that committee, and I think there's only 2 Republicans on it. And it's been great. We went and her parents actually live here, which is kind of cool.
That's cool.
We're planning to come see offsite and tour it as well, but we went to Boise and toured some up there. And I went just so I could plug, hey, we have this in Reading.
Right. Yeah.
Like, we have this in my district.
Yeah.
Why are we not,
It's in the black and you're doing great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would love to have 3 or 4 more,
Right.
but we learned a lot, and it's all modular, which I think is the future. People in the committee went last year to Sweden, and that's kind of how they saved their.
Sweden's amazing.
Yeah,
What they have going on over
It's
there.
amazing, and they had a worse crisis than we have, and they've been able to fix it, and they fixed it with modular housing, and just kind of in codes and other laws too. That 20 bill package I was talking about has a lot of that, and it's going to have some like cash flow for developers, because that seems to be a big problem too. Because when they order the modulars, they have to pay for it, and sometimes the loans aren't in the same period. And so we're trying to fix some of that red tape.
And even getting financing for some of those, the banks don't really understand it.
Yeah.
You know,
So
there's like, hey, why
they
I'm not
don't-
going to give you a loan on a on a mobile home, but it's not that. It doesn't
And they're
work
not going
that
to pay for it before it's set up.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're trying to fix some of those little hurdles that they've had. But I mean, they're building 400 unit apartments, and they did, the ones we looked at did 20 a week.
Wow.
20 units.
Once U.S. Offsides plant is operational in Anderson,
It's going to be
it's going to be incredible.
Yeah. And I went up thinking they were these huge plants, and they were like, they must be paying them so much lower wages, and it's, this California, everything's more money. No, they started at $24, $25 an hour, and they had, it's all indoor facilities. So they have year round, like a job that's secure.
And they're not working out of town.
They're not.
They're working full
and they're not. And our weather's so bad that they're not working in 120 degrees or in the snow if they were up north. So I think it's a huge. It would be a huge opportunity for us. They also had them buy the timber.
Yeah.
So they're not trucking it that much farther. And the most fascinating thing to me was 90% of their projects were being shipped to California.
Yeah, and we're the
which
biggest.
is crazy.
We're the biggest.
We're where it's growing.
Yeah,
So,
you can look at like mass timber too, and cross-laminated timber. That's kind of a new thing, and some of it's complementary to offsite housing. But most of it's made out of country.
Yeah.
It's made in
Yeah.
like British Columbia.
Yeah.
But it's cheaper for them to ship it from British Columbia to California because the regulatory environment for mass timber specifically is so you just can't
crazy.
do it. You
Yeah.
can't do it in California. It makes more sense to truck it over 1,000 miles from another country,
Yeah,
which is
that's-
unbelievable.
That's that's the stuff that we're broken, right? We have
That's
to
so
fix
frustrating.
that. But I think I'm very hopeful. I think it's gonna be really good. I was going to see it from a rural lens, which they were like fascinated, because they were like, why is Heather interested in this at all? Because they're thinking of it as, they're
Density,
downtown San
downtown,
Francisco.
sure.
These are easier and faster to put in, so their construction's quicker and cleaner. And I'm looking at it as, hey, I don't have developers.
Right.
Like, we don't have we have many projects that we can't even get a bid on.
Right.
Like we're so far away. And then we're also I'm the only district that borders 2 states, right? So
Oh, yeah.
where I live, it's closer to have somebody come from Oregon or Nevada.
Right.
And we don't play well with others, so their licenses won't work, and it's
Right.
very hard to find somebody that has both, and which is going to be a future
Future
problem.
bill.
Yeah, yeah. So, but those for rural, if somebody would come in and make build 10 or 15 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom
That's
houses,
huge. That's huge.
that would be life changing
Yeah.
for some of my towns. Like we have,
Do you even have an apartment complex in Modoc County?
we do. We have 2
Oh, wow.
low income ones.
Okay.
but 1 2-story.
Wow.
Yeah, we're big high rise.
Yeah. Huge.
That is life changing, and we are turning people away for housing. Like we have teachers that can't come. We have
No one for them to live.
yeah, we can't find them a house. We have teachers that come in, or doctors or nurses that come and live in a camper because they can't find a house. And that's not a good way to recruit people. So I'm hopeful. Fall River's doing a cool thing. They're having their CTE kids build tiny homes.
Oh, wow.
For their
That's awesome.
teachers. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
For their teachers.
For their teachers.
Wow.
Yeah, and they want to eventually expand it and build houses and give them, if they stay so many years, they get money towards that house to purchase it.
Interesting.
But how cool is that? Those
Yeah.
kids can learn all of those skills, and they're partnering with companies, so they're like a kind of a mini apprenticeship, and they're doing plumbing, electricity, construction, like everything.
That's really cool.
Yeah, very cool. But we have to think outside the box.
Yeah,
'cause
you kind of take care of
we're
yourself in the
different.
North State.
Yeah, you do.
Like, you're
You do.
not, You're
Yeah.
not like a city next to another big city.
Yep.
We're kind of by
Yeah.
ourselves.
Pull your
The fact that
bootstraps up.
Redding's the biggest city, we're not that
Right.
big. I mean, we are relative to Alturas.
Yes, you are.
But
You are.
we're also on an island. We're up here by
Yes,
ourselves.
yeah.
So
Yeah, which is why you guys are the natural hub.
it makes sense. It makes sense.
Yeah.
So your first year in office, 2025. What were some of your legislative wins last year? Because that's a hard thing to get any as a
It is.
Republican in California.
Yeah, and as a freshman, it's unheard of. I think I was so busy I didn't even have time to reflect on that until after I was done. But we had some big wins, which was awesome. I got 6 of my 7 bills signed by the governor.
Nice.
Which was
And you went
crazy.
6, 7 in the podcast. I have teenage boys.
Oh yeah, and then
Good
you
job.
say 8, 9 now or something.
41, I think it is.
yeah.
6, 7. Yeah.
Yeah, my kid's gonna cringe. for
Yeah,
that,
perfect.
but,
Perfect.
yeah.
Mine too. That's why I did it.
Yeah. But we got 6 bills signed. We got the first pro Second Amendment bill passed in over 20 years.
That's amazing.
Which was amazing. And CRPA named me Legislator of the Year for that, which was cool.
I mean, when was the last time we had a Second Amendment, pro Second Amendment bill passed in California and get signed by the governor?
22, 24 years ago, something
my
like that, I
gosh.
said. Yeah, which is crazy. And he picked it as his first bill to sign.
Wow, I didn't know that.
I don't think is a sign that he's running for president at all.
Yeah, right. Did he ever accept that gun from Sean Ryan, though? Didn't he got a big Glock or something?
Yeah, I don't know. CRPA gave me a gun for Legislator of the Year.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah,
That's very fitting. Good
That's
job,
very
CRPA.
cool. Yeah, they were like, we don't have a trophy or an award or a plaque, and I'm like, oh, that's okay. And then they showed me the picture. I'm like, this is so much better.
That's sweet.
But it was great. We had a lot of budget wins. We had over $1.5 billion come back to the district.
Wow, $1.5 billion?
$1.5 billion. Yeah,
That's a lot of money.
A lot of money.
That's not budget to us.
No,
That's
it is not, and we worked hard for that. But the bulk of that was a tax exemption for wildfire settlements. I don't think the average voter realizes that if you are a victim of wildfire and you get a settlement from whoever caused that fire,
We won't say names of anybody that may have caused it.
yes,
We
but-
respect those people too.
Yeah,
but,
yes, that you have to pay taxes on that.
That's
And
ridiculous.
It's crazy. It's just wrong. The state should not be making money off of fire victims. And the governor can individually exempt a fire, but he has to do it every fire. And so there was about 7 of them that hadn't been exempted, including the Dixie, McKinney, Thomas. There was a bunch of them, and they were almost all in my district. And so people long before me had been fighting for this for 4 and 5 years. And I decided this was going to be the hill I was going to die on. And when the LA fires happened, we just started fighting and, talking a lot about equity and what this looks like. And the governor came out and said that all fires from 25 to 2030 were going to be exempted from settlement taxes. And we're like, whoa. This is absolutely unfair.
Yeah.
And so Megan Daly and Assemblymember Lackey had a bill last year for this, and then it got vetoed at the end, and he said it had to be a budget request. So we did a bill and a budget request just to make sure, but we were able to get that through, which was amazing.
And it's in perpetuity.
Yes, so it was retroactive. So
Unfortunately, it's a deal with perpetuity.
yes,
But
so it was pretty cool when I went to do my taxes. Like the first question asked you if you were a victim of any of these fires and you had
Nice.
settlements, and I was like, that's pretty cool. Although this was the first year I really didn't want to submit my taxes because I was like, now I know how you spend them.
Yeah. That's not what I could use.
No,
That's
no.
why people try to avoid paying taxes.
Yeah.
It's not because they want to save money. It's because they don't want to spend it on really bad things.
Yes. And then we had about $70 million that went to Sierra Nevada Conservancy and Tahoe Conservancy for fire mitigation projects, fuel breaks, that kind of thing. We had the $2 million for the wolf depredation. We got $10 million for Karuk Tribe for a fire resiliency center in Happy Camp.
Wow.
Because they don't have anywhere staged there,
Yeah.
And then we got $20 million for Plumas County. Their school needed to be
That is big.
I don't want
money.
to say bailed out, but they went into receivership. The fires and they were really impacted by the fire. So so we did good.
That's
we did
amazing.
good. So now I have to top that. And how do you top that?
You got to do $2.5 billion. You got to do
Yeah,
$3 billion.
I'm
You got to do $3 billion
like,
this year.
Yeah.
This is a little bit outside of the scope, but one of the things that I really appreciate about you is the fact that you're not just fighting for state stuff; you're also fighting for some federal. You had some
Yes,
federal wins.
I did
last year, and the biggest one to me. The biggest one to me is for rural schools, which that's not even all schools in your district. You were there with people from outside of your district, like Trinity County, where I'm from, and that was a huge win.
That was huge.
And I think that was Congressman LaMalfa's last
It was
piece of legislation, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So kind of a
We got
Man,
to
that was a
work
big
with
deal.
him. It was awesome. So my secure roll schools, for most people don't know what it is, but
It's such a big deal for these counties.
It was like the government's promise that if you had a lot of forested land and public lands, that hey, we're going to make sure when they kind of shut down logging, we're going to make sure that you still can get some revenue
Right.
from this. And they have to ask for it every 3 years, which I think is ridiculous. And we're working on that now. But it had been held up in the administration for over a year and a half. And so I had went back in January and went with a group that has been lobbying for this forever. And then we went back in October and decided we needed to have the kids tell the story. And so we took 8 states of FFA kids back there.
Wow.
And if you haven't been around FFA kids, they are phenomenal. Like
Big out, man.
They are.
Yeah.
They've got it. They've got it figured out. They all had their talking points. They look you in the eye. They shake your hand. They're dressed in uniform. It was very cool. None of the schools could afford to go, so I actually reached out and found donations to pay for everybody to get back there.
That's incredible.
Because we needed this money so bad. I had schools that were going to have to close.
Yeah, I mean, it's 50% of the school and road budget for many counties.
Yes.
Like Trinity County, it's 50%
Yeah.
of the budget. And what a lot of people don't know is, if you're like a Trinity County is about 78% owned by the federal government. And if you're owned by the federal government, Siskiyou County, I think, is over 60. Modoc County is like 90%.
78, yeah.
I mean,
I
these
have
are
one.
big,
Sierra's
big.
96.
And if
Yeah.
you're owned by the federal government, you don't pay property taxes. And
And
most local governments are funded by property taxes. So no schools budget, no roads budget.
Yeah.
And without that logging, because these counties used to get 25% of the
Board
receipts
foot, yeah,
of
yep.
the timber revenue, which was a big deal for generations.
built most of our
this
schools.
this is how these counties made money. So when logging stopped, this funding completely
it
went away.
crippled. Yeah,
And
so-
my analogy for the federal government right now is like if you have a county where you're majority owned by the federal government, it's kind of like having a meth head neighbor. Like you're not taking care of your property and you're costing me a ton of money because you're putting my community at risk.
Yeah, that's
It's
a horrible analogy, but I'm
awful.
going to use it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know if I'm gonna keep that in there, but it
true,
drives me
it's true.
crazy.
Yeah, so it's almost $50 million every year to our schools, and they use usually the counties are like 50% to the schools, 50% to roads, so
Right.
that the bus can get there to get the kids. In my district, we get over 60% of that.
Wow.
And all 11 of my counties get it. Siskiyou County gets almost $5 million.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
that's a
lot.
lot
It's
of
a
money
lot.
for already struggling districts. So we were so excited to go back there. We worked with Lamalfa's team. He got that bill through, which was phenomenal, and it was the kids that did it.
Yeah.
We got
In your help.
yeah,
You got
yes,
him. You got
yes.
in there.
But the kids telling the
Yeah.
story, that's what did it. So we had a meeting with the speaker, and it was very last minute, and we had I think 2.5, 3 weeks notice, and I'm like, okay, I need to find $50,000.
Right.
Yeah. But we made it happen, and thank God, because they just cut checks a couple weeks ago. So
That's amazing.
And they did it retroactive, so they got paid.
Yeah, it's a big
for the
deal.
part they missed.
That's a very
So
big deal.
It is. It's huge. And I don't know. Most of my colleagues had no idea what Secure Roll Schools was,
Right.
and we had sent some letters, so I had talked about it, and I got almost everybody to sign on to it. Because they realized how much we need it. And they're starting to care, right?
Right.
So it was a very cool victory. We also fought for Head Start.
big deal.
Childcare for working families is huge.
Yeah.
I was a Head Start kid, and I partnered with my Democrat colleague, Assembly Member Aarons. He was also a Head Start graduate. So I think we had all but 2 legislators sign on to the letter of support, and they had called and said that's what made them move on it. So pretty cool. And they're giving both of us an award for this year for Legislator of the Year, which is pretty cool. I think it's next week.
Wow.
But yeah, so
That's so cool.
Yeah, and that's like billions.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
So yeah, because Head Start's fully federally funded in
Right.
California. So, and some of my communities, that's all they have. So that's like the only preschool program that they have to offer. So
That's a big deal.
it is, yeah. So we're fighting for everything we need.
Yeah.
Working entirely too much, but it's-
having fun still.
It's still fun.
So what gives you hope for the future?
I think it's being around the young people.
Yeah.
This next generation, we produce exceptional young people. And I think that's the thing we should be the most proud of. When we have kids that want to come back to their hometown and do good work. I want my kids to always have the roots, but have the wings to fly. And I think every time I spoke at an Amplifying Rural Voices, a conference at Chico State last week, and I'm sitting in this group with kids and they're asking me these questions that I'm like, you guys are asking me better questions than most adults ask me, but they get it. And I'm very hopeful that they're gonna take on the foundation that we've all built and in 30 years or whenever we get to retire, hopefully sooner than that. But they can take it on and keep Northern California beautiful and great and thriving. We're gonna have big fights ahead of us.
I'm sure.
Until then, I'm sure it's not always hopeful. There's a lot of fights there too. But I think we can do it. And I just want to. It's truly, it sounds corny, but it's truly the biggest honor of my life to represent 11 counties and get to be in Sacramento every day. And
that's amazing.
And fight for our communities.
Do you still get that sense of awe when you walk into the Capitol?
I do. That's really weird. Even when I just drive up, I'm like, I get to work here.
That's awesome.
This is pretty crazy.
And maybe you'll be able to see the new
annex. Yes.
You might actually be able to occupy someday.
It actually looks like a building now.
I was down there last
does.
week. It's looking like it's coming around.
Super weird and modern. I don't love that.
It doesn't quite match the aesthetics of the Capitol. But
No. And we went and toured it. It's cool. It will be much more like secure, and
Sure.
It would be nice to be in the same building because now I have committees all over the place and I'm running crazy and trying to be at 5 places at once.
Right.
But they say a year and a half.
Okay.
So, I mean, I didn't think it'd be there at all if I got to stay the whole 12 years. So
Right.
we'll see.
That's good.
I can't imagine moving in with the state, though. So I'm not looking forward to that.
It's a challenge. So on the rare occasion that you don't have to work, which you're always kind of on now. You're always kind of on all the time.
Yeah.
What is your ideal day? You don't have to just pick Shasta County. You can. You can pick Modoc County too, or really anywhere else in the district.
Yeah.
What's your ideal day off?
Day off.
Right now.
So
Not working. You can't. Taking care of the cows doesn't count. I know, like, it kind of does.
I mean, they make me really happy.
Yeah, okay, that's fair.
Most days I would say I just want to be at home because I don't get to be at home enough now. But so we love the outdoors and we're living the perfect place to do it. We love kayaking. I'm a big fisherman. I love to fish. So if I could just go hang out with my family, grab some sandwiches at Holiday Market and go out and go fishing for the evening, that's one of our favorite things to do.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The holiday sandwich is the number one selling item in those stores. Over bananas or milk. I think bananas is
I
number
believe
2.
it. They're pretty.
Yeah, I forget you have one in
Yes, we do.
Alturas.
In Alturas. Yeah, that's our main. We have a grocery outlet in Holiday. So,
Right.
Yeah. No Costco.
Probably not going to
Yeah.
happen.
Probably not. No.
But you have a holiday. That's a pretty
Yes,
good
it
move.
is. Yeah.
Holiday
The sandwiches are very.
They're amazing.
Yes, they really are. Yeah.
That's awesome. So you drive through Shasta County probably at least twice a week, unless you
Yeah.
go the back way down to the Capitol. What's your favorite place to stop and eat when you're in Shasta County?
Oh.
Besides Holiday.
Besides Holiday. So Burrito Bandito, that's my go-to. I'm kind of a creature of habit. So I stop at the same gas stations, the same places, and I love it. My whole family loves it. It's really the only quick food my husband will
Quick
even
and
eat.
good.
Yes.
Quick and consistent.
Yes.
Like no matter which one you
Yeah.
get to, they're
And it's
consistent.
so good. And I love the seasoning. It's
Oh, yeah.
everything. Yeah.
It's definitely kind of, I feel like, I don't know if I should say this, but like kind of gringo Mexican food.
I think
It's not like an authentic street taco that I'd get like in San Diego.
Yeah.
But the portions and the flavor, I'm a big fan.
I
of
feel
Burrito
like it's
Bandito.
more authentic. I
Oh,
think
okay.
Taco Bell gringo
Oh, okay.
food,
That's fair. That's fair.
But no, yeah, I really love it. And then I can get a burrito bowl and have it for dinner the next night. So.
Oh, that's a
Okay.
good point. Yeah, do you have like a road trip snack on your way back and forth between Modoc? Like when I'm driving on a road trip, I have like very specific things I get. You
Yes.
must have something.
Yes, I have jerky and
Okay.
That's It bars and a Diet Dr. Pepper or
Okay.
Dr. Pepper Zero, one or the other. But
Yeah.
I don't drink coffee, so or energy drinks.
So Diet Dr. Pepper keeps you
Yeah,
going.
I like Dr. Pepper Zero, but you can't find it very good. So, but the Maverick has it. So
The Maverick has got a lot of good stuff. They have a great
so
snack
sadly,
selection.
I know where that can get
Which
it along
specific
the way,
ones?
which is but yeah, it's definitely a creature of habit.
Yeah.
'Cause I'm on the road a lot.
What
so.
kind of jerky? You can say anyone you want.
I like
specific?
teriyaki.
Okay.
So, but I like Chico State the farm. They make their own jerky, and that's my
nice.
favorite by
Okay.
far. So
Chico State Teriyaki.
yeah,
I've never had that. I'm going to have to try it
They
out.
have a jalapeno one that's good too. But
Okay. Can you only get it like in Chico?
yeah, you can only get it at the farm. So I buy it like in bulk and then put it in my freezer.
Nice. I'm gonna have to get it next time I go
Yeah.
down there.
It's good.
I think Steve Perez is actually coming up to speak at Rotary in a few weeks, so maybe I'll have him bring me
Nice.
some.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
They're pretty great.
Yeah.
I was just down there with him. So
Where do you see the North State in 10 years?
hopefully thriving, right? Hopefully we've convinced all my colleagues how wonderful rural California is and how much they need us just like we need them, right? And I think I'm hoping to open up funding and make sure that our schools have what they need, our towns have what they need, and we're not reporting so much for grants. I really detest that.
It's hard.
Yeah,
It's hard.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. And I think I'm hoping our counties learn from each other. We have a group called 81 Connect, and we meet once a month and just kind of report out. And really, I started it for me to keep connected, but the really cool part has been watching the counties all connect and people connect on there for ideas. And the thing that makes Northern California great is the people. And we really have a lot of like real estate in people, if that makes sense.
Sure.
But so I think, we keep recruiting the right people and getting people here. I think it's only going to get better. I hope we have a medical school by then.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
So that, because I am worried we're not going to have enough medical professionals, but I hope that all these career pipelines and pathways that we're making and opportunities we're giving our kids, that in 10 years our communities are better than they ever have been.
That's awesome. Well, thank you for what you're doing at the state level. You're doing an incredible job, and
Thank
I'm
you.
so grateful that you took time out of your day to be here with me today. So
Yeah,
thank you.
absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Awesome.
The City Builders podcast is brought to you by Obsidian IT. Obsidian IT is a Reading-based, employee-owned technology company providing simple, scalable, outsourced IT for your business. Discover how Obsidian cares about IT and give them a call at 530-242-6000 or obsidianit.com. Obsidian keeps us running at the chamber, and we could not do business without them.